Hello everyone, welcome to ixamBee. So SEBI Phase 1 paper has been done for all the streams, and today I am in this session going to discuss about the general stream and the research stream. So I have started getting a lot of questions, what has come, which type of questions have come and all. So a good paper, good well coverage of different topics. So let's talk one by one of different topics that have been coming and what went well, what did not went well as per preparation, as per expectation and all. So let's get into straight away questions, and if you have any more questions, please keep adding in your comments box exactly what has been your experience. Okay, so I've already started getting certain questions. That's very good. Thank you everybody. Keep putting in the questions that you remember. So first let me talk about the paper 1, which was your QRE and your GA paper. So in QRE, if I start with the easiest aspect, English was very easy. Very easy it became. Direct questions, all expected lines, very easy questions. Anybody could have done. Almost everybody is talking about 100% accuracy in English. When we talk about quant and reasoning, the paper was easy to moderate. If you have practiced well, you found it easy. If you have not practiced too much, then students are finding it moderate. The topic, especially if I talk about quant, there were some questions related to speed and boat related questions. There were questions on ratio and proportion and of the level that we have put in our mock test. So a lot of students have pointed out similar pattern of questions they found on speed and boat and ratio and proportion that were there. In reasoning, there were puzzles. There were two puzzles. One was related to not puzzles, seating arrangement questions were there. Seating arrangement questions, one was based on circular seating arrangement, and there was another which was based on straight line seating arrangement. Then there were questions in reasoning related to some jumbled words which you had to unscramble to form the right words. Position based, a word was given and you had to pick certain position letters and make a new word out of those. So jumbled words related puzzles were there. Seating arrangement questions were there. They were easy to moderate. If you have practiced well, you found them easy. If your average practice, then you found it moderate. So a very good paper 1, actually well covered. In GA there were questions from the budget also. So there were questions data related, allocations related. There was one question related to alerts. So this question also was in our mock and we had discussed in our GA so many times. This is a new committee that SEBI had formed and they had asked what is the what does L stand for. So it was leveraging. So yes, the questions were from financial awareness related to budget, related to SEBI news that has been there. So paper 1, I think all of you will very easily clear the 30% cutoff. In fact, your paper 1 will actually help you pull up your score in the overall phase 1, because overall we need 40% in total. Yes, Rohan, thank you. There was this question related to biggest oil refinery of the world that was also asked. So very easy paper, expected paper, a lot like what is there in our mock test. There were 2 caselet DI related questions also that were there. Okay, so this was in brief about the paper 1. We will be making memory based paper also very soon for further analysis. As of now, I am doing the quick revision with the inflow of questions that I am getting from various students. If I talk about paper 2, the general stream, okay, the biggest thing that was there were no numericals from accounts and costing. No numericals from accounts and costing, something that most of the students had been worried about. There were no numericals. There was, however, one numerical from the economics section on the equilibrium for demand and supply. So you were given the demand equation. You were given the supplied equation and you had to find the equilibrium price and quantity, right? So basically you had to equate these two equations to find and solve for price and quantity. So very simple numerical per se from the economics topic, but the unexpected aspect was, which is a good unexpected part, that there were no numericals from accounts and costing, something that you all have been very worried about, and we kept saying there may be numericals, but even if there are numericals, they will be easy level. So that is there. Okay, yes, Shubham, so I am talking about paper 2. I am also spending more time on paper 2. Now if we come to the types of questions that have come in paper 2, the paper 2, there were Companies Act, there have been around 5 to 6 questions that have come. The questions were conceptual in nature. When I say conceptual, basically section based questions have not been asked. One question was related to the president of NCLT who is appointed. What is the minimum experience he should have as a judge of the High Court? So answer there is 5 years, right? Then there was a question related to section 47, which talks about the voting rights. Okay, so voting rights of shareholders. So in what proportion are they are allowed to vote? So they get 1 vote per paid up capital. So paid up capital was the correct answer here. Then in Companies Act, there were certain more questions related to penalty for the director if the dividend is not paid within 30 days. So there's a 30 days timeline which the directors have to follow, and if this is not paid, then this amount has to be moved to the unpaid dividend account, right? So if there is a fault on behalf of the directors in following this, there is a penalty which they have to pay, which is 25,000, and it can go up to 2 lakh for every day of default. Additional keeps adding, so at the maximum it can go. So that was the question related to the penalty from the directors. Okay, and 44 in paper 2. So Abhinav, it's a good attempt. If your accuracy is good, then that is a very good attempt that you have made for your paper 2 and paper 1. Okay, then if I move, so these are the questions I remember from the Companies Act. If again, as I said, if you have more, please keep adding here. Vipul, 69 in paper 1 and 39 in paper 2 is a very good attempt. If your accuracy is good, you will definitely clear phase 1. Okay, then there were questions from costing questions. There were a lot of questions from the lean systems aspect. There was question on the 5S. Then there was a question on the 6 Sigma model. There are 2 models in 6 Sigma. So they had talked about the DMAIC. Okay, DMAIC model there was a question. 5S question was there. Then continuous improvement, what it is called, it's a favorite question, Kaizen, which it's almost given that this is ours. So a question on continuous improvement, which is basically related to Kaizen. Then there were a question on budgeting. So on budgeting, conceptual question, few statements were given and you had to identify the correct statement. So that was mostly from costing, no numericals from costing. In management, the questions that came in management were also very simple, related to functions of management. One of the functions that was highlighted was about the directing function that they had covered. More questions as of now I am not aware for management, but please keep adding as I said. In economics and finance, if I talk about, again, good conceptual questions. There were a lot of questions. I think 2 questions that came from NBFCs. One, they had asked what is the max period that is allowed for deposits. That is 60 months. So this was a topic that I covered in my live classes, and we also provide content for NBFC for general, although it is not mentioned specifically in the syllabus. And a lot of students were having doubt, why are we studying NBFCs? But I kept saying that NBFC is an important aspect that you should consider, and especially when it is specially mentioned for the research but not in general. So I think that was a good strategy that we followed to cover NBFCs in detail. There were two questions. One, as I said, they had asked the maximum deposit tenure that is allowed, and second there were 4-5 statements that were given, and you had to identify the statement which is not correct, or I think it was correct. So one of the statements you had to identify related to NBFCs, key things that they had mentioned, whether they can accept deposits or not, what is the minimum net owned funds that are allowed, that are required for an NBFC to start and registration. I think as a similar question which we have in the chapter test for NBFCs. So yeah, so there were questions on NBFCs. In economics, there were conceptual questions related to the BOP topic. So there was a question on balance of payments. There was a question related to the capital expenditure. I'm not sure if this capital expenditure was related to in the account segment, or was it in context of the capital account of the government. So you had to identify which of the following was a capital expenditure. In costing, similarly, there was a question related to indirect cost, and you had to identify which of the following were an indirect cost. So a very conceptual and simple paper. Another question in accounts was related to intangible asset. So as per the schedule 3, in schedule 3, which gives the presentation of the companies act, in detail they have identified which all are intangible assets. So one, they had given a lot of names, like mining rights and railway sidings and all, and you had to identify which of them were not an intangible asset. In accounts, other question was related to buyback, which you had to identify which is the correct statement. So they had given certain rules related to buyback, in what is the debt equity proportion that has to be followed, how much time it will then take, whether you can issue fresh, you can do a buyback from a fresh issue of similar nature of shares. So that was an incorrect statement, that is not allowed. So you had to identify statements related to incorrect statement related to buyback. Other questions in this segment, yeah, mostly these were the questions in the accounts segment. Economics, BOP was one. Then there was a question related to the LM concept and the multiplier and accelerator concept. That was a conceptual question that was asked. Yeah, so Salma, that is correct. The questions were actually easy, and the good part is they have well covered, they very well covered the entire syllabus, right? And they actually went into good conceptual understanding of the topics per se, and not really just mugging up things, right? One of the very good questions which we have added in our mock tests also was related to the AIF, the limit, because this was recently, and when we were discussing the financial developments, the last board meeting of SEBI that happened in December, there were a lot of new things that SEBI had brought in relation to investments by AIFs, in relation to investments related to IPOs, and a lot of regulations were brought in. So we had been telling you over and again that is the most important financial awareness and financial news for the SEBI exam, and they did ask one question on the limit that the AIFs have been allowed, except for angel fund investment, what has been allowed. So for angel fund, I think they had asked, for angel funds under AIF, the limit is 25 lakh. But for any other, apart from angel investors, the AIF limit has been increased to 1 crore. Okay, so this was a question which was also there in our mock test. So if the students had attempted, which we were recommending again and again, if you had attempted all the mock tests, all the 10 mock tests that were given to you for phase 1, in addition to all the questions that we had been discussing in the classes, in the live classes, this was a cakewalk. Paper 2 was a cakewalk for all those students. So Ashutosh, this year paper 2 was difficult in relation to paper 2 of last year. If that is what you are asking, I will say maybe it was actually based on syllabus. Last year a lot of things were, just haywire. They had just asked from nowhere unexpected questions, although that was also easy, but it was a lot about your test of general awareness and financial awareness. This time they have been doing a lot more justice to the syllabus, and this was again an expected, which I had been saying again and again, that last time when SEBI exam happened, that was the first time they were using this syllabus. Okay, so this syllabus has evolved over the last 2 years, as it was used by PFRDA also, it was used by NPS Trust also, and now SEBI also is using it the second time. So this year definitely we were not expecting the question paper to be like what it was last year. So it has been a very well made paper with good conceptual understanding, and that is what we keep telling all our students. Please, please, please don't focus on mugging up or MCQ based type of preparation. Understand concepts, and this will go a long way in clearing your exams for sure, and also making a good career in the organization, because you will be able to grasp, your training will be good, and you will be a very good resource for the organization. So and this is your chance to actually understand well about the securities market, about SEBI and all the economy aspects. So a good paper, I would say, very well covered, and all those students who had this misconception that only CA students or finance students, because we keep getting these queries in our live sessions on our YouTube, through emails, that is it going to favor CAs, is it going to favor finance students? Please, this is a misconception. Everybody, they are only looking at capable employees, right, from any background, any stream. So let's focus on our preparation for paper phase 2. Let's focus on phase 2 on similar lines. They have not had much numericals in phase 1. I think there will be some numericals should come in phase 2. Leadership, Kaushik, thank you for adding more information here. There were questions on leadership, transactional and situational leadership. Was there a question, Sophia? That is okay. We will keep adding and updating this. Transactional leadership is again a very, very important concept in leadership now. Transactional plus transformational. Situational leadership, okay. So I'm noting these down. We will also start working on a memory based paper, which we'll make available as soon as possible. Okay. Okay, so question related, Abhinav is telling that there was a question related to the interest rate on CRR. So yes, there is no interest that is given on CRR balances that banks have to maintain with RBI. No interest is given on CRR. Okay, so okay, yeah, so one more question that somebody has added was on IND AS 18. Okay, so this is another confusing point for a lot of students. Everybody keeps asking accounting standards, which one do we have to study? Do we have to study IND AS or do we have to study AS? And my again same advice I am repeating, which I have been giving students again and again, is please concentrate on the conceptual understanding, because we are in a transitory phase of adoption of IND AS. Of course, in the past, all the government exams have been focusing on AS because we were in a transitory phase. This transitory phase is almost completed. Okay, only banks have been left, and that will now depend on when RBI says. As of now, RBI has given no dates for banks to move and transition to IND AS, and the smaller NBFCs. So NBFCs up to 250 crores of their capital, not up to, more than 250 crores of their net worth, have already moved to IND AS. So it's only a matter of time. We should start getting understanding of IND AS, maybe not in depth. And again, you don't have to know each and everything. All our notes are updated to include both AS and Ind AS from last year itself. And we keep saying, please understand the concept of what they want in the reporting aspect from the accounting process. They will not ask you to make journal entries there, which is very unlikely because that's not SEBI's job to do journal entries. So you should understand the rules so that you are able to understand the financial statements of companies, because you will be dealing with a lot of financial information of companies when you're working in SEBI. So that is the thought process. So if we understand the job well, the organization well, the functions of the organization, and we look at that in light of the syllabus, we will do a better preparation, not just for the exam but for a career in SEBI is what my suggestion is. And let's keep working in that aspect only. Okay, so yes, Kaushik, that is, I don't know the exact question, so I don't know it is transactional or transformational. If you all know, please keep sending or send us an email about the correct questions that you can tell. Sophia, yes, if you are getting 3 and 9 as the answer for the equilibrium, majority of the students have told us this only, so most likely I think this is correct. However, as I said, I don't know the exact number equations that were given. Okay, and okay, so thanks everybody. Keep adding the questions. I will now move on to the research segment also. So all of you who have given paper from the research side, for you the analysis also I am covering today. For research, here there were actually numericals. Okay, so there were approximately 6 to 7 numericals that have come in the research stream. Okay, so now I am talking about the research stream, not the general. Okay, so in the research stream there were numericals from the economics part. There were 2 questions from the national income related. So there was one on the calculation of national income using the expenditure method. Okay, so you were given IGX, right? So that is the equation that we have for the calculation of national income. So all those figures were given to you and you had to calculate the national income. Then there was also a question for the calculation of the personal income, right? So what is the personal income? I hope you can write in the comments box the relation between income and the personal income. What's the difference? Okay, so that was there. Then there was one question related to numerical calculation related to elasticity of supply. Okay, so elasticity of supply and the quantity of supply had to be calculated. So some information related to change and in the supply and the pricing was given, and you had to calculate the elasticity of supply here. Okay, there were numericals. So this was from the economics section, basic economics section. There were questions from the basic economics. There were conceptual questions from the multiplier and accelerator concept. So actually the questions research, what students have told me, the paper was direct and easy to moderate per se, but it was lengthy in the sense there were a lot of questions. Approximately 15 to 20 questions were there, which were statement based. Okay, so they had given you 4-5 statements, long statements, and you had to either identify which is not correct or which is correct. So reading all those statements was taking a little time, and therefore it was a little lengthy is what I have understood from the students from the research segment. But paper as such was very well covered and sticking to the syllabus that was given. So in the economics, the first section of research, these were the questions: GDP related calculations, elasticity, multiplier and accelerator related questions that came. And there was a question on the current budget, very simple question. So this year's budget, they have 4 priorities, right? So they had asked you to identify which one is not, and the exact same question has been given by us in the 50 important questions on budget this year, right? So you had to identify which of the following was not one of the 4 priorities. If we move to the next segment related to public economics, good conceptual questions, no numericals in public economics. There were around 3 to 4 questions related to the tax. When we say tax, it was not like they were asking you the tax filing and all. No, it was conceptual question related to incidence of tax. In fact, there was a numerical related to incidence of tax calculation. Then there was, what are the components of capital budget related questions. So yeah, there were 3-4 questions related to tax in the public economics aspect. Then if we move to international economics, they had asked questions on IMF, they had asked questions on IOSCO. Okay, they had asked again conceptual. These were statement based questions. They had given 4 or 5 statements and you had to identify which were the functions and which one is not a function, sorry. So these were functions related questions that have come. Then there was question on the monetary policy. Okay, monetary policy instrument, they had given you options and you had to identify which of them was not one of the monetary policy instrument used by RBI. There was one question related to credit rating agencies. Credit rating agencies, again a topic which we had highlighted in the class that it is important. Credit rating agencies are getting a lot of preference by SEBI. They have been put in highlight, to identify the usage of IPO proceeds, right? So that time I had been saying credit rating agencies will be important. Okay, so credit rating agencies, there was a question related to which one is not a feature. Again, it was a statement based question asking which one is not a feature in of the credit rating agencies. Yes, and then if I come to the econometrics and stats, econometrics and stats questions, there were around 4 to 5 questions related to hypothesis itself. 1 or 2 conceptual and 1 or 2 not really numerical, but some kind of calculation was required to arrive at the right answer, but not really numerical. So there were a very good class was done on this by Aditi ma'am, in which she had discussed hypothesis in a lot of detail. So all those who attended that class had got a lot of benefit from these questions. There were question on regression analysis, numerical that came from the regression analysis aspect. Simple question, it was not a difficult question, right? And from financial markets last aspect, then there were 2 questions related to NBFCs. 1 credit rating agency I already talked about. There was a question. So overall, more topics I am still getting, but overall there were around 9 questions from the financial markets segment of the syllabus. So very well covered question paper. Thank you Arvind and everybody else for putting in your efforts to give the questions that were asked. So this is more or less the gist that we have got till now. We will keep continuing to add and also work on a memory based paper to help you for your preparation. Based on all this analysis, we are going to structure our classes for phase 2. Phase 2 is already scheduled for March 20th. We'll waste no time, and that is my suggestion, waste no time to wait. The SEBI paper is a lot on expected lines. They have stuck to the syllabus. They are concentrating on conceptual understanding. So let's continue to prepare. We are ready with our phase 2 SEBI Grade A paper already. If you want to avail any help or if you need any guidance from ixamBee, a flat 50% off is available on all the streams, whether it's general, legal, IT, research and Rajbhasha. In today's session, I have covered the first preliminary analysis for the general and the research stream. We will be coming out with analysis for legal, IT and Rajbhasha stream also very soon on our channel. So stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that you get the timely update as to when we are doing the analysis for the legal, IT and Rajbhasha stream. So thank you everybody for joining in today. All the best. All those who have mentioned today about your attempts, I'm sure given your attempts you will very easily sail through phase 1, because all you need is 30% in paper 1, 40% in paper 2, and an aggregate 40% is needed. So no merit based cutoff, as you know, is there. So I'm just repeating, don't waste your time in waiting for the result. It may take a week for the result to be announced. The exam date is already announced for phase 2, which is March 20th. You have exactly 1 month, so use this exact 1 month judiciously to cover the topics that you have not been able to do in phase 1, and to clear your doubts and concepts in case you have not done that for phase 1. So all the best for phase 1, for phase 2, and I'll see you in other sessions soon. Thank you everybody. Have a good day.